Hey guys, William here, aka Big Bastard. Yeah, it's been a while since I put out anything. For those of you subscribers that have stayed with me, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I've mentioned on a lot of videos before that I don't necessarily do this to make money, especially since YouTube did their fucking 10K minimum. But a lot of times when something comes up in my life that I want to talk about, I do come here and I do talk, obviously, about those issues. Or, in the case of Rogue One, my most watched video about a movie that pisses me off, okay? Well, this is just an update video. I can't promise it's going to be a quick one. It's kind of a rambling update video. But basically, yeah, I'm still schooling. I'm in the last week of my or last couple of weeks of my uh, this semester. Probably 2 to 3 weeks more, and we're out, if I recall correctly. Probably should be doing some homework right now, but I've been meaning to do a video, and I've got the time now where the house is kind of just given over to me, because many of you know that I live with family. You can see that physically not much has changed. If anything, my physical shape is worse than it's ever been. I talked a lot about an inspiration of mine, Boogie2988, and he has actually completed his objective. I don't know if I could say it's a dream for him, but I would imagine as being in a similar condition. And he went through bariatric surgery, and he got his weight completely down. So I had to go through a new doctor, just because my other doctor had left, and the doctor that I'm having an appointment with is an integrated care specialist, and I imagine obviously that weight will be a concern that we will be addressing, but I'm hoping that has an integrated care specialist, which is different than a lot of doctors that maintain just a strictly biomedical model. And we talked about this in personal health this semester. And basically, biomedical is one, the doctor believes that wellness is an absence of disease, and the doctor usually treats more toward curing an illness than over just basically achieving an overall being for that person. Because when you have a chronic disease, and I do with osteoarthritis, when you have a chronic disease, that will not go away. It can't be cured. And anybody that tells you it can be cured hasn't done their research. So basically, I'm hoping that with her being an integrated care specialist, which combines the traditional medical field with these alternative, maybe they're not scientific enough to be considered, with to have been provable through empirical studies and that, basically. But they supplement in an integrated care program. Those elements supplement the traditional medical care. I'm hoping we can attack this weight, get this down, dealing with this issue. But the main reason that I wanted to do this update video is because there are some video topics by accident I stumbled across 2 channels, and I'm really thankful I did. Looking up something associated with an assignment I had, because a lot of times, I'll read about something in a book and then I'll get curious. I'll kind of look it up online, and I don't remember if it was video assignment or just something that I Googled and come across. But I found a video by Simon Dan debunking a flat earther, and at first I laughed. I was like, oh, this spoof video, this will be funny. And I checked it out, and surprisingly enough, there is a resurgence, for whatever reason, of people who believe that the earth is flat. And it's something I can't wrap my head around. To me, this is a step backward in evolution. I once had a evolutionist I was arguing with when I was a theist that told me, oh, there's no such thing as de-evolution. It was something I had thrown out there facetiously. And, of course, I argued the point somewhat, but making my point that, it was facetious. But now I'm beginning to actually believe in retroevolution because humanity is becoming so fucking stupid it's not even funny anymore. I mean, flat earth, come on, Christ. Okay? Now, I'm not going to deal with the flat earth. Simon Dan does that. A great job of that. Him and others like him. I am a scientist, but I am not a physicist. I understand the tenets of scientific inquiry, the way that we acquire proof, and you'll find this out in a later video. Proof is basically a misnomer in science, but I'll get to that, and you'll see what I'm saying when I get to it, because it's not like, a lot of theists and flat earthers, well, you can't prove anything, and science isn't about proof. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, and I'll address that. But basically, I am a scientist of not only sociology, but a scientist of psychology. I have had much study on how the human brain works, how its mechanics, its biological mechanics work, but also how it works in regards of processing information and conveying information and these things. Now, on the sidebar of the Simon Dan video was one for the atheist experience. Well, for a man who does the atheist experience, and it's basically him and other atheists putting together a show, but it was on Matt Dillahunty's, I believe it is, channel. And I went over on that, and I was really impressed because initially, and basically I'll go into a little of my personal life here. When I was younger, I received a promise from, well, young, it's a misnomer as well. It was between my 20s and 30s, I believe. It might have been early 30s, but I believed I had vision from God, that He promised me something. And I had a super religious experience. I purified myself, threw away everything that I felt would be a detriment in my spiritual growth. This includes not only my original manuscript for Bloodlords, which I'm still kicking myself for, because back then that thing was typed out on this was about 2003-ish, that thing was typed out on a Smith & Corona typewriter by hand. Okay, threw that out, threw a Blade 2 video out, threw out Kathleen Ramsted's, I believe her name is, book, Vampire Forensics or something like that. To this day, I regret these decisions, because not only did the promise not manifest, and a lot of people will be like, well, let me discuss the result of this. The problem did not manifest. I became angry with God. Okay. And then eventually that led to me walking away from God, so to speak. Okay? Now, I know that people are going to be like, oh, so you didn't get what you want, you threw a tantrum, and you blame God. Okay? No matter how this started, because what happened was, as I started walking away, it started getting me questioning things about my faith, things that I had held sacred, tenets and beliefs that I had held as dogma, okay? And as I started walking away, I began questioning, and I began applying critical thinking, okay? This is the important part. How I got there is irrelevant. It doesn't matter why I stopped believing in God, okay? What matters is the process that got me to question that faith and to critically analyze and dismantle these beliefs, these what I now hold to be ridiculous beliefs. And Matt Dillahunty, after that time, once I realized that I didn't believe in God anymore, I called myself basically, I said I couldn't be stupid enough to be an atheist, because to be an atheist, having grown up the way I was, an atheist was someone who not only held that there was no God, but held that there could be no God. Now, I am not that close-minded. My personal belief structure is that there's the open possibility of a God. I will allow that open possibility, but I want to see proof. And I always said that I'm the perfect bastardization of Mulder and Scully from X-Files. I want to believe, but I won't believe until I see it with my own eyes. Okay? Now, Matt Dillahunty, the first video I saw of his, surprisingly made me realize I was an atheist, because that's exactly how he described being an atheist. Now, there are some atheists, such as Dawkins, a man I admire, as a scientist, as a thinker, a theologian, well, not theologian, but, basically anti-theologian. I admire him, but one thing I do not like about him is his vindictive disregard for other people's beliefs, because even if these people are not trying to prove anything, he will go on the offensive against them and tear them apart. Even if they're trying to be open about these questions, he will go on the offensive and tear them apart. I'm not that way. And Matt Dillahunty and his crew are not that way. And I believe that there is a room for open discourse between Christians and atheists, but I believe, and this includes creationists, evolutionists, and scientists, but I believe that there has to be a line drawn and expectations given to either side to understand what they're dealing with when discussing things with the other side. I realize nobody's really, to my knowledge, done any videos on this or talked about these topics. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna cut here for a minute. And through the magic of the internet, I is back. Okay, so basically I had to deal with some things here right quick. Got interrupted. So, here's the thing, okay? What I want to do is because I have an extensive history in the Christian faith, I understand the dogma, the tenets, the beliefs, but, and I have now the scientific background as far as the process of scientific investigation, how things are proven, if you will. And I think that if I do some videos along these lines, it will help instruct believers in how to have a dialogue with atheists and vice versa. But I'm more worried about how believers approach atheists, because a lot of believers come in guns blazing and they say they can prove God, and the only proof they got is the Bible. That does not count. And when you try to explain that to them, they go on the defensive. So, not only am I going to discuss this for believers, but I'm going to lay out tenets of critical thought, tenets of how we process and should process the world around us. It is an open book. I'm not trying to shut chapters on anybody or cut chapters out of your book. But I want it understood that there has to be an application of critical thought in how any issue, regardless of what it is regarded. And so I will probably be doing some of these videos when I get the chance. Again, keeping in mind that I'm in the final weeks of my semester. I know that the 24th, if I get the chance, I will probably do another video and upload it. But I really want to deal with this because, first of all, we're seeing in society a decline in rationality from all sectors, man. And it seems worse in the entertainment sector. The stuff that is being postulated and pushed out is ridiculous. You know, I went into some of this on the video, Paul Logan, I think it was. Okay. You know, it's stupid. And if you haven't seen it, go check that out. Because I'm not attacking Paul Logan. I'm attacking the people who are attacking Paul Logan because, yes, what Paul Logan did was tasteless. Yes, it was stupid. Okay, but when do we as a society get the right to try to destroy someone else's career because we don't like what they said? You know, it's just these. I addressed this in the Paul Logan video. This idea of these faux ethics, you know, because that's what it really is. It's faux ethics. Okay, FAUX. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, it is a set of conduct that you want everyone else to adhere to, but that you don't adhere to yourself. You know, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, sure I do." You know, yeah. You do in public, you know, like I said, the people crying out against Paul Logan, you know, oh sure, you know, in the public, you know, they created that uproar in that. But I bet in private, the majority of them were laughing. Oh man, this shit's funny, you know, and it's ridiculous. And I'm not saying this applies to everybody. I am saying that regardless of what you believe, there is a sector, a large sector, and growing larger, God forbid, of people who hold beliefs that they have the right to judge everybody else, but they cannot be judged. And they have the right to condemn everybody else and to call them out and to destroy, basically in the case of Paul Logan, destroy your career because you did something that pissed them off, but then in the secret of their homes and that, you know, they're doing all sorts of shit that can be called out. Okay? It's bullshit. And I'm hoping, I had a teacher. He was an art teacher. I had one class of his, and I was in the hallway. This was when I was at EWC. I was in the hallway waiting to have a meeting with my advisor at the time, Deborah Oshner. Really awesome woman and spectacular person who just, I mean, she's phenomenal. And then I met, coming down the hall, was another phenomenal person who I deeply respect, and he was my art teacher, John Klein. Now, he told me, and a lot of times, you know, him and I go back and forth and rib each other and dig each other, just harass each other. And he said, you know, I really miss having you in my class. And I just kind of laughed. I'm like, oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing? He said, no, I'm being serious here. He said, and the reason is because kids today, they have no critical thinking. He said, your critical thinking skills are unbelievable. And he said, you know, that's not how he put it, but basically he's saying, you and Jessica Rotz, who was my friend, you demonstrate these levels of critical thinking, he said, and these kids today are completely incapable of that. They do not do that. And this is the downfall. This is what he's saying, this is what I'm saying now. This is going to be the downfall of society. This is going to be the end of society as we know it, because people are going to get progressively stupider and stupider. And I know the more proper term is more stupid and more stupid. But they're going to get stupider and stupider because of this lack of critical thinking. And I'm hoping that enough people watch my video on these critical thinking skills that they begin to apply these dynamics and these tenets to their lives, begin to question things, not like a fucking flat earther questions, okay, but to understand the process not only of formulating a question or of formulating a question that can be tested. That's stages 1 and 2, but then going to the third part and doing the testing, and we're not talking fucking experiments on Google Map. We're not talking X, Y, and Z experiments, cartoon drawings or shit like that, or scaling shit to fit your viewpoint. There was one Simon Dan called out where they could see a mountain peak that they claimed should not have been visible with the curvature of the earth. Well, Simon Dan pointed out this mountain is subject to a phenomenon that happens at exactly this time, seen from this area that they chose, and of course the guy uploading the video had to have known that. It's interesting he chose no other time to view that to try to debunk. Okay, this type of shit, is not critical thinking. This is horse shit, and this is, sometimes I wonder if this isn't people making a serious cry for attention or begging for the spotlight, because I'll tell you what I think. I think nobody could be that stupid, although sometimes I wonder. I seriously hope they're not that stupid, because again, we are talking about the future of mankind. And I don't hold high stock in mankind in general, or humankind, to be more politically correct there, and accurate, since obviously almost 50% of the human race is female. No, that's not an actual statistic, but that's casual inference, not causal inference. Casual inference, because half man, half women, otherwise you'd have some issues. You get what I'm saying there. And I'm not trying to present that as fact or anything. That's quick quick statistic, or not statistic again, but a quick, can't call it fact either, a quick observation thrown out there, But yeah, we're talking literally the future of humankind going extinct because people are getting dumber and dumber. And I would like to help in any way I can, no matter how small or how large it be, to prevent this. Because while I don't hold a lot of stock in humankind in general, as I started to say, I just really would not like to see the destruction of our species in such a manner. Okay, so that's basically all that's going on with me. That's kind of some of the things I'm planning. I tried making a guarantee last time, so this time I'm serious. I know I've said this before, but this time I'm dead serious. No guarantees on what's coming out next or when it's coming out. Just giving you an idea of what I'm looking at doing. Those of you that have stayed subscribers despite the lack of content, I thank you very much. Those of you who left, hey, you had every reason to do so, because as a YouTube content producer, which is, you have a channel, you do this, I don't care why you do it. If it's your own personal diary or whatever, it is you being a content provider, and you either provide enough content to keep the audience engaged, keep them active, keep them relevant, or you just fade away. And even though I'm not doing this as a form of supplementary income, as a lot of people are, I still would like, to grow and expand in that. And I still feel a sense of obligation to my viewers, no matter how few there may be, because you guys allow me to do something that I enjoy doing, expressing myself to people. That's what YouTube's all about. Express yourself. I believe that used to be their logo. Of course, they started killing our ability to do that, but that's another fucking video. So, basically, that's my update video. That's all I really got to say for now, and I hope that when I do get some more content out, that you guys, both old subscribers and new subscribers, will enjoy it and join me on wherever this path takes me. You know, I'm almost through my bachelor's, and obviously I've got a lot of health concerns to address. But wherever this takes me, I'm glad to have you guys with me, and it's great to be with you. This is Big Bastard signing out.